Holy shit, squad. Guys, look it. We have fucking story time, and I was gonna make this last night because this literally just happened yesterday, guys. But your boy needed rest. I had to get up a little early, to handle a couple of things. But let me fucking tell you, yesterday, and you know what's crazy? I've been mentioning this for my past videos, like your boy's been going through some stress, I'm tired, like I wouldn't say I'm burning out, but right now your boy has no time management. So trying to figure everything out on top of, figure some of my personal life out, it can get really stressful. And guys, yesterday I thought was going to be one of the best days. You know, I woke up in the morning, I didn't have much anxiety as I usually do. I was able to take a little piece of my medication and, like I was able to get through it. And I don't know what it was, but something felt off, right? And so I was just taking the day as it was. Like, it's been a stressful week. I'm actually having a decent day. So, you know, I have a little bit of my Benjamins left. I set myself up a quick booger. As you guys know, that means a dabaroni. Shit, we getting lit with your boy Tony. And then, I set off, I put some music on and, I make my way to work. And it's a clear day, guys. Like I wouldn't say like it's, clear skies, completely sunny, but it didn't look like it was going to rain. The past few days I've been reading on the news, it's going to rain, it's going to rain. And all we've been having was a bunch of clouds, but no rain. So I didn't think anything of it. Well, the freeway was a little bit backed up. So already, I was getting a little bit irritable because I was like, fuck, I'm going to be late. I'm just trying to get to work right now. As soon as I got off the freeway, guys, like not even 30 seconds as soon as I got off the freeway, it started raining like crazy. I'm talking about like out of nowhere, I got a flash flood warning symbol and then it just started pouring down like crazy. And I'm driving a little bit up on the street that I'm trying to get to work on and traffic is starting to back up. People are trying to figure out where they're trying to go. And there's this part of the road that's very, very flooded. But then there was a school that's on that side of the road. So you got people that are trying to figure out where they're going. You got traffic that keeps backing up. And then you got on that same street to the right side, parents that are picking up their school at family pickup. And that little family pickup part was flooded. So it was already kind of frustrating, right? So I get to work and I turn the corner to park at the building. Tell me why, guys, there's a tree on top of a car. And I was like, what the fuck? And I have a video of that shit, guys. Watch, I'll put it right here. And so, there was a tree on a car. Everything was like on the road. And then when I go to park, it was flooded like completely. Like I had to park in that area and I thought the car was going to float away. So I was like, oh no, fuck that shit. So, I decided to park in a little bit of another area that's a little bit further away that doesn't have that much water, so I didn't fucking step in a pond because as soon as I opened the door, it was a bunch of water on the floor. So already then, right? I get out the car, I get my stuff, I head inside the building, guys. And already off the back, my boy's not there, my boy Franz, he's the cook. And out of nowhere, my manager, he walks around the corner and he's like, hey, bro, the cook called out today. He's all, it's just going to be you and the new guy, basically. You know what I mean? Sorry. But I was like, all right, cool. That's all right. And I already knew it was going to be a little bit of a fuck day because I don't know what it is, but when the weather is like about to rain or when it's about a storm or any kind of like badass weather, I don't know why the fuck people associate it with pizza. But I already knew off the back that it was going to be a busy ass day just because of the fact that the weather was like, it was the way it was. And then, we didn't have another body there. It was just two people on a Saturday evening. Let me tell you guys. So already off the back, I was a little bit stressed out and we're going to get to like what happened, guys. And this is all of today was, I mean, not all of today, all of yesterday was so wild that this story is just going to cover everything and it's going to lead up to what happened, guys. So, it's busy. We're trying to accomplish everything. We're trying to get everything done. And I'm trying to stay up on the dishes because one thing I ever realized is when I've ever had to stay late, it was because I had to do dishes or just some shit at the end of the night, right? So I was like, well, maybe if I stay caught up on the dishes and stay caught up on my tasks and, do my tasks early, then, I'll have a little bit of wiggle room for later for what I have to do in case I have to, well, obviously I had to do more than my job. So, we're getting slammed. People are waiting on their orders. Customers are getting upset. And I'm getting upset because I don't want them to get their orders any later than they have to. And I'm telling you guys, our carryout was about an hour long because the new guy doesn't cook that well and he doesn't know how to handle the counters or do anything of that nature. So I have to do everything else around him and just subject him to the make table and maybe wings. And then, occasionally dishes here and there. And let me tell you guys, I didn't even get my prep done. I didn't even do my prep because I wasn't even going to stress about that shit. So, there's someone that's calling and they keep calling and calling and calling and calling and I can't get to the phone. Obviously, the other person can't get to the phone. So, we finally had some downtime. The screen's cleared, the last pissed off person left. And so I decided to answer the phone, right? And, I was like, hey, thank you for choosing so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. How can I help you? Or do you have any questions or concerns? And this person's like, well, yeah, so I placed a delivery and, for the name so and so and so. And they were like, but it charged my card twice. We didn't get the delivery, this and this and that. So I was like, oh, wow, well, let me see what I can do for you. So I look up the name, the number. This customer did not have a previous ticket. They did not have an order for our store and we didn't have, anything under their name. They didn't place it under a different name. They were telling me it was for so and so. So I go look at it and then I explain to them like, hey, maybe you ordered it at another store because we have 3 stores down this street. We have 3 locations down this street. So I was like, maybe try calling another one and see if they have your order. And, they said, well, we tried calling and we were put on hold and they transferred us to 3 different places. And then we were talking to the call center and they couldn't help us. And she said that I guess her boyfriend was looking in the emails and they got a confirmation, but I was like, okay, well, if you have a confirmation, then on the email, it should say the store that you got it at. And they were saying that it didn't say that the store, what store they got it from. They just had a confirmation email, right? And I was like, well, that doesn't really help me. And so, she hands the phone over to whoever's next to her and he was like, well, maybe you can find it this way and tries giving me the confirmation number. And I'm like, again, like, I don't need that number. Like, there's nothing I can do with that number. If you were charged twice, you probably going to have to, dispute it with your bank or, cause as far as I know, that could be like a scam receipt or, like a scam email or just anything. And then they can get a free order on me because I don't have their previous order. And so, I show, the cook and he's like, yeah, I don't remember. Like that's not an order we made. And I was like, I know, right? Like we don't have this order. So I go back on the phone and I was like, we don't have your order, such and such. And then they tell me like, oh, well, you need to find it. It's over here because we placed an order for over here at this location. And I was like, there's nothing I can do for you. Maybe call the other locations, try to, find out where it's at. And they started getting wild up with me. So I was like, look, you guys are wasting your time. Long story short, there's nothing I can do for you. Call back. Maybe the manager tomorrow could, do more for you than I can. And they were like, well, is there a manager on duty right now? And I was like, I am the assistant RGM right now at the moment, but I don't handle like the refunds or anything like that. That would be for the manager tomorrow, right? And then they start saying, well, what's your name and this and that? And me, I'm not the person that gives out my personal information. There's only literally like 3 or 4 employees at my store. Like if someone describes me, you can literally fucking know it's me. Right. And so I was like, I ain't telling you my name or anything. Right. And then I hung up and this person kept fucking calling. over and over and over. And I answer the phone. And I was like, look, we don't have your order. Call your bank. And then they started getting even more wound up. So I was like, nah, fuck that shit. So I just hung up. And then they kept calling and calling. And so I hung up again. And I would basically not even answer. And you know what? This was wrong on my part. But I would basically just pick up the phone and hang it up right away. Right? Because fuck that bitch. I wasn't trying to talk to whoever, they were talking to, or I wasn't trying to, we don't have the order. What am I supposed to do? Right. And so I call my manager, right? My boss. And I'm like, hey, yo, this is what's going on, such and such and such. You know what he tells me? Oh shit, that sucks, bro. Shit, there's not much we can do about it. And then is like, basically, have a good day. And I was like, what the fuck? That's not what I mean. If there's nothing he can do about it, I get it. But that wasn't the answer I was looking for, him being in his position. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. My boss, he's not fit. He's not fit to be the gym in training right now. And that's just the truth. So I hang up the phone, right? And then we're getting slammed. Shit's hitting the fan. I'm stressing out over here. And then, people are walking in. They're still pissed off because they're getting their orders late. And then out of nowhere, I see a car park after we had cleared the screens again. The last person walked out again. And then someone walks in, right? And it's a younger lady, and I can see that they have someone sitting in the car. And so she comes in, right? And I'm like, hey, how can I help you? And right off the fucking back, she starts giving me the fucking confirmation number. And I was like, oh, I already knew who the fuck it was. And I was like, look, we don't have your order here. Like, I even showed her the screens, the previous order, such and such. And I was like, we don't have this here. Like, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish here. And she's not even showing me the email, anything. I'm like, what's the address on it? She couldn't show me that. She was just trying to give me a confirmation number. And I was like, that doesn't do anything for me. That doesn't do anything for you. Like, I need an actual name, or, I need an actual receipt saying that you got it from this address. Cause she could have ordered it at a whole nother store and she could have got, the confirmation. And that's not my problem. And so she starts tripping on me, right? And so I was like, oh, fuck that shit. So I'm not going to lie, guys. I got a little bit frustrated. And I turned around and I made a big ass sigh. And I was like, and I was basically like, you're wasting your time and you're wasting my time, lady. I was like, we don't have this here. You got to call and dispute it with your bank, right? And so she starts getting more wild up and she's like, no, this is some fucking bullshit. You need to make my order. You need to get my order or I'm going to have so-and-so come inside. And I was like, fuck that shit. I was like, go ahead. The fuck? And then she started getting more wild up, right? And I guess at, a couple of stores down, there's an ice cream shop, right? And I guess one of the employees from the ice cream shop, her car was the one under the tree. And so I guess there was a cop there, right? Like a university or a student cop or something that was trying to help her. So tell me why the fuck this lady went and she's like, I'm going to call the cops on you. And I was like, well, fucking bring the cops then. What the fuck? And so she leaves, right? And I thought she was bluffing. I'm not going to lie. This bitch comes back with a fucking officer. And I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't real right now. Right. And then, so she comes in with the officer talking shit, being all stupid. And so the officer says, okay, so what's going on? And I explain him the situation, what's going on. I show him the tickets and everything that's going on. And I said, this is a private property. I don't have the order she's looking at. There's no confirmation on my end. I don't know where she ordered it at, but this is a situation. And I was like, this is a private property and I'm refusing service right now. And you know what he does? He looks at her, right? And he basically lectures her. So she caught the cops on me and he basically lectured her about like, look, this is a private property and you're basically stressing them out at his job. You're in the wrong right now. And he was siding with me. And you guys know, as you guys know all my other videos, you guys know I don't have a good relationship with police officers or sheriffs or cops or anything like that. Right. So for the officer to be on my side about that, I'm not going to lie, that was actually pretty cool. So big W to that cop right there. And I could tell he didn't even want to be in this situation. And then he took her outside and was basically like, look, whatever you need to do on your end, you need to do it. But, they did what they did over here. And this is what it is, And Like, she kept trying to explain it to him, and she kept looking at me with a dirty face and looking back at whoever was in the car with her. And I was like, nah, fuck that shit. And so, she left after she was all pissed off, cursed me out a little bit. And then, I forgot to leave out the context. She tried telling the cop that I was being fucking rude and being disruptive and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, not even. I only started being like that when you started tripping first. So yeah, the cop was on my side. That lady ended up leaving with whoever she was with, and that was the end of the day. And then the cop comes in like 20 minutes later and he's all, hey, bro, you good? Just checking in on you. And then he's all, yeah, man. He's all, I used to work for customer service and shit. People stress me out. So I was like, damn, bro, like, I appreciate you. So yeah, guys, like, yo, this is crazy story. And this all just happened yesterday. All of it happened yesterday. And I was going to do a Sunday sessions for y'all today, but I was like, you know what? We got story time because fuck that bitch. Yo, I don't know what it is with customers lately, but they're off their fucking gourd, let me tell you. And it makes it harder for us customer service workers. But yo, Ten Toes family, guys, I'm glad you were able to watch this story time. Yo, you guys are running the numbers up on that last video for that horrors of van life, let me tell you. But yo, if anybody's stressing you out, right, and you're doing your thing and working and you're not in the wrong, then so be it. But sometimes days are going to get stressful. Sometimes you're not going to have the bodies that you need. Sometimes things are just going to hit the fan. But, guys, it's just being an adult in what we do. And sometimes workplaces can be bad and the environments can be shit. But as long as you keep your mind together, everything will be okay. Always talk it through, guys. But I'm glad that you guys were able to listen to this today. Shit, whether you're at work, whether you're whatever you're doing, y'all. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, guys. We got way more coming out. Gameplays, topics, discussions, reactions, you name it. Run the numbers up, guys. That shit helps me on the algorithm. But yo, Ten Toes family, much love, guys, and on to the next one. Later.